Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode on Wednesday. We're going to talk about that of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the episode, and we've got heat and cooling. So those are keeping track.
Yes.
Our HVAC is in.
Yes. Well done to Jason.
Round of applause.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't screw it up this time. I didn't release anything. I didn't turn the wrong knob at the wrong time. But yeah, we're good. So now this whole studio should be good throughout winter. And we also have additional heat for those that are worried about a heat pump in Alberta. It does get cold. Okay, heat pumps are good till about minus 20. This one will go to minus 30, and then when we get to those weeks of minus 40, we've got additional heat in here.
Yeah.
But it's well heated and well insulated, so we should be fine.
Yes.
There you go.
Great job. Well done.
You like your furnace?
Yes. I love my furnace. I like the heat pump.
Oh, she calls me her furnace. I keep her warm.
Yes, he's so warm.
I hope that's okay. It's not a medical thing.
Well, I'm also very cold, so there you go.
Cold-blooded, maybe?
Yes.
Maybe.
Cold-hearted.
That's a little bit too spicy for morning coffee. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
And yes, so those keeping track, you got a little card. The next project will be the generator. The generator, we bought it in 2022. We're now getting around to installing it. I got all the parts and pieces and instructions, and yeah, generator, automatic. It'll have a big fuel supply too.
Yep.
You're looking forward to that one too.
Yeah. That's going to be a handy one to get done and out of the way. We've got a propane pig tank. That's what they call it, right? Connected, and yeah. And there was one less thing to worry about when it comes to power, winter, and just one other thing that we've dealt with.
You're going to miss starting the generator in the middle of the morning?
Nope, I will not. No, I will not miss that at all.
Yeah, and we burn gas around here for sure. People, before some people go, oh, you're just these greenies. No, that's fine. We are economical. We are self-sufficient. We're off the grid. We take care of ourselves. And yeah, we had to burn about $1,000 worth of gasoline each winter. So we'll probably lower that cost a bit.
Oh, for sure.
With an automatic generator now that will kick in when it's needed and turn off when it's done. So yeah, looking forward to that part of it.
Yay.
Got the last of the parts yesterday. But yeah, the heat's in. It looks good too. It cools quite a bit too.
Yeah.
All right. There's going to be a good episode. If you're here for Bruce Pardy, stick around. He's going to be here at 7:30 Mountain, 9:30 Eastern.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, he dropped a great document. He dropped a bit of a draft for the Alberta Constitution. It flips everything on its head. It's very easy to follow and understand. And what timing? We had him scheduled for Wednesday. He drops it on Tuesday. So we'll get into that for sure with everybody else. But let's kind of run through the news stories, unless there's anything else we want to talk about right now.
No. Let's go hit the news. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Love you all. Thanks for being here. Well, by the way, we got a notice from YouTube. We hit 100,000 views.
Oh, yay. Yay for us. Yay for you. Thank you for being there.
It's growing into one of our bigger platforms now. So if you're watching us on YouTube, give a like, subscribe. I know my wife has a button somewhere for all that.
Go find the button.
And all the other platforms, thank you so much for supporting us there, because we need to hit all platforms, because you never know when you get shut down.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, so this is our third channel on YouTube. Oh, let's hope it stays.
Third time's a charm.
You got it. But do share this out, everybody, because this is growing. We're getting to the point now where people are reaching out to us to come on. Alberta Prosperity Project reached out yesterday. They wanted us to have them on, so we will. We had Mitch and Jeff on just a couple weeks ago, so we're going to get a couple of people. It looks like Tanya and maybe Dennis Modry. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Also, the Justice Center reached out to get John on the other day. So it's pretty cool. We got to that point where they're reaching out now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, folks.
It's all you know. It's you. It's you.
Yeah, me.
That co-host.
Me with the crazy head. This is the intermediate point of where my hair goes curly to straight, and it's just the whole bird's nest going on right now. But
I like your curls.
Yes, you do.
I always liked your curls. But yeah, Justice Center said, hey, yeah, you got good chemistry with that co-host of yours. I'm like, yeah, I should hope so. It's my wife. Oh, okay. But here we go. Let's get to the news. It also put some comments in. Those help the algorithm, all that. Let's work with that AI gods that will push things. But thank you for being here and getting up early with us. We appreciate it, especially those that have been with us for years. And you know who you are.
You know who you are.
You guys are awesome. All right, 8,000 more reasons to put a moratorium on immigration, start mass deportations. Here's a problem when you have a lot of immigration. You've overdone it. You're open borders. These guys may or may not be immigrants. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the society has gotten to the point where it's assumed. It's assumed that this is immigrants because this is not culturally how we normally act. This isn't how Canadians used to be. Yes, there was shoplifting. Yes, there were some violent crimes before all of this open board stuff, but not this much.
There was this not this brazen. I'm going to go carry this bunch of stuff just straight on head out, and I know you can't touch me.
Absolutely. You know, good old fashioned shoplifting. You were trying to hide stuff and just take a little bit and get away.
Yeah.
But the modern day version of shoplifting is, well, that's what the carts are for.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see from these pictures, and if you're listening on the podcast, there's 3. I always call them gentlemen. Maybe 4. Yeah, I'm looking at the T-shirt. So there's 4 different gentlemen here, all carrying DeWalt products and Husky bags and other items from Home Depot. It turns out to be $8,000 in Huntsville, Ontario. You are on fire. But walking out the front door. And so the police are on the lookout for them. In California, they won't prosecute for less than $1,000 now, which, as you can see now, everything's locked up.
Everything.
Toothpaste, candies.
Everything's locked up there.
Yeah, because they kind of have to. Stores were shutting down just because they couldn't afford to be in neighborhoods. Currently in Canada, around here, nothing's locked up. My first exposure to this kind of locked up, keep behind the counter stuff was in Winnipeg for mouthwash.
Oh, for the alcohol in it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first exposure to that ever in Canada. Was in Winnipeg. The mouthwash was behind the counter because of alcoholism. It would just go missing and get drunk right there. But if we start seeing things like candy bars and bags of stuff being locked up in those little boxes, you've gone way too far. But now's the time to stop. And I do believe that this is due to desperate people trying to make some money because they can't make their way here, or they're just greedy and just regular old opportunist crime. But put a moratorium on immigration, start mass deportations, cause and effect. We'll see if that fixes it.
Yes, let's do that.
You're good to go. You got your paperwork.
Yep.
Of course, Bruce Pardy's coming on today, so we'll get into that when he shows up. But here's his Articles of Freedom, what the Constitution of an independent Alberta should look like, and the links in all the descriptions. So whatever platform you're on, just take a peek at that description. You should see a link there so you can read it yourself, but we'll be deep diving into that with him in a moment. All right, Ontario. If it wasn't for Ontario, we would have very little news, I think.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and you're going to pull up one too from Barry as well. But I guess seeing all these videos, and here's where social media helps. Okay, this is why we do the show, and this is why we do our acts. It's not because it pays us and keeps the lights on, because it doesn't. But this is why we do it. When you put enough pressure on government, you embarrass them enough, you mock them enough, you meme them enough, they are still, some of them, human at heart, and they want to kind of end that. So all of these posts about the truckers, because the numbers are just astronomical, causing chaos on the streets and the roads and the highways because they're not well trained. Even CBC broke this story a little while ago and kind of danced around the subject of what the problem was. But they would show the schools where you can basically just show up, skirt all of the training, get your license, fake the hours, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, get the training.
Right. And then we saw the consequences of that. First, it started by basically with the Humboldt crash, where an entire hockey team was wiped out because a driver ran a stop sign, T-boned them, and that was a tragedy. And we've had too many of those kind of things. So Ontario now sent out 1,200 notices of suspension for Class A drivers. And this is likely due to part of the CBC investigation. There was probably another investigation that looked into it, and probably targeting drivers of certain schools that received their license through that school, or at least a training portion of their license, and could potentially, like, there's not much information here yet, but also they privatized the driver training about 23 years ago in Ontario. It used to be the government that would take you on your road test. They privatized it. So because of the privatization of it, there's good chance that there's certain testers who will pass you. You just go see this guy and say you're from this place, and you'll get your license type of thing. So hopefully this will lead to, as I put in my post, criminal charges. So I said this is a good start. Every province needs to do this as well. So Ontario is the first I've seen across the board. And I think the U.S. is also cracking down on this too.
Yes, that's it. They're not issuing out these commercial
U-turns that are
licenses.
causing deaths, accidents, where they've been running into lines of people that are stopped or slowed down. Like, this is crazy. It's gotten bad. Like, every day we're seeing something new.
But I want to highlight the line: as a result of your dishonesty during the Class A testing and/or training processes, your driver's license is suspended for 90 days. And just to highlight, it's not just 90 days to get it back. The letter does say more correspondence is going to be following.
Yeah.
So it's not just 90 days, you're done, you get it back. No. And it says, do not drive, you are not licensed. But yeah, as a result of your dishonesty, so it's highlighting, something's not right.
I like that sound. The due process is first is to suspend, which means you can't use it at all. And then you got to go through a process, the government, of proving their case and taking additional steps. But they've highlighted here, there's more coming. So across the board, coast to coast to border, this should be happening. I hope that they will also target the driving schools that allowed this to happen.
Correct.
Then charge them criminally for each person that was harmed or killed on the roads by a driver they passed. So I would like to see the liability and criminal requirements extend all the way to where the pass was given.
Yeah, exactly.
The person driving is already in trouble. They were there in the accident. They got themselves in trouble. It's going to go through the courts. But the person that improperly passed that person, I think this is where it needs to go. Because if you do that, first we get a little bit more justice, but you also get them to stop.
Yeah.
Because there's no way they're going to start passing people that are not properly trained, because they could be on the hook for any accident that they have. That's the golden rule here, and that's what should be happening.
Yep.
You had one that you want to bring up quickly here?
Yeah, so this is mine here. Where's my mouse? There's my mouse.
Add you to the stage. I think we're both pushing buttons at the same time. There we go.
There we go. All right, so I'll bring this up here. Where did it...
Okay, so Barrie Mayor declares state of emergency over encampments. Yeah. So Barrie, Ontario, that's 3 times we said Ontario. So they now made the #1 news spot on our show. Ontario, you're falling apart.
Hold on a second. I can't access this tab, so hold on.
It's okay. So here's what's going on in Barrie. Because of the encampments, which again is related to immigration, because when your housing is over capacity and jobs are not available, this is what happens. Oh, you brought CBC.
I did. A trusted news source for all Canadians.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, so I read through this. It is due to the encampments, and there is a direct correlation. They've said that as the number of encampments have increased, so has the crime. And they're saying this is enough. It's affecting our residents. It's unbelievable. Defenders have said that, well, we have 2,000 people needing help, but we don't have 2,000 spots for them to be homed. But this is a real concern of the amount of crime that has been going on in Barrie. So the mayor, Mr. Nuttall, has spoken out, says, no, this is something that's very, very serious. We need it to be addressed. Simcoe County has shown an increase in crime.
This is not just Barrie. This is all cities across the board. Everywhere is like this. It's just Barrie's kind of given up on trying to fight it.
Yeah, and there is a line in here, if I can find it, which I appreciated. It says that this isn't a homeless problem. This is the fact that it's a lawless problem. And we need to, because there are some homeless people that are generally law-abiding. These are the people that are moving to these encampments for the sole purpose of committing crimes, and they're building a community. And so they're looking to remove these encampments right away.
There you go. So when we were growing up, and I know a lot of you watching this right now, yes, there was a homeless person or two around. We even had one in Saskatoon that was kind of famous because he would travel with his stuff, and it turned out he was quite wealthy. It was by choice. He was on the street. But that's kind of what we were used to. It was like, oh, sad, leave $1 or whatever, buy a cup of hot coffee or something, and move on. Not this. Where there's entire encampments, there's crimes going on there, there's violence, there's weapons, and all this kind of stuff. This is, again, tied to immigration, though. You take away the housing, you take away the jobs, you force people into situations like this, and you also are soft on crime. crime's going to spike. These are all the ingredients. Like if you're trying to create more crime, this is exactly the way to do it. So you've kind of seen the Liberals' hand at work here across the country in all major cities, and even larger cities like Barrie now are kind of having to deal with this problem. Of course, taxpayers are going to have to pay this. The media is going to come down on this. It's going to be ugly, but also we need to mass deport. We need to free up the housing. We need to free up the employment. And we also need to be tougher on crime. And one way to be tougher on crime is to establish rule of law again. And rule of law is, well, if you're here illegally, you got to go. Like that's rule of law. So let's establish that. We got to crack down.
Because the mindset is if you're stepping into a country illegally, subsequently, any other decision is already tainted with, well, I've already come here illegally. What else could I possibly do that's not legal? Which is why it is a snowball effect. And addressing some of the key issues, such as illegal immigration and then having mass deportation with that, helps remove one of the issues that we still have a whole bunch to deal with subsequently anyway. So it's not just mass immigration, illegal immigration we need to address, but it is one factor towards the issues we're facing as a nation.
I think that's more of a symptom, but the cause or the root cause of this is we don't have an established rule of law.
Yeah, correct.
So when you allow that kind of thing to happen, or a multi-tiered system where rules for me but not for thee, like when you do not have true rule of law, this is what happens. And yes, these immigrants will come and break the law, but they came in through the open border policies, and they don't respect our country's laws because neither do we. Like we do, you and I do, but our government doesn't. So when you reestablish rule of law, and partially too, like, I don't know, taking out a boat with 11 people heading towards your country with a bunch of drugs, hint, hint, that might be a way to make everybody understand that you're gonna treat the law seriously here and don't break it. All right, let's get back to it. We got 13 minutes before our star of the show will be here. And there we go. So good start on the trucks. You crack down the license, but go after the schools as well. This woman. Okay, so how do we say her name again?
Jacinda
Ardern. She was the Prime Minister of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And she's coming out and she's saying, hey, I made mistakes, but I was human.
Yeah,
No, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
But I was human. Oh, that's too bad. So the only thing that I believe about her statement was the was human part, because she's a monster. The things that she did, she's a young global leader. She came from that program. Okay. With the guy from France, Macron. Is that his name?
Emmanuel Macron.
Yeah. She graduated with him. Trudeau was part of their little clique as well. There was this little group that included those ones. I think Boris was part of that as well. But definitely those three, France, New Zealand, and Canada, were part of this little group. Maybe they had some fun together. Who knows? But they all came out with the exact same rhetoric, the exact same attack on their citizens in the exact same way at the exact same time. Now she's kind of having a little bit of remorse because people don't like her now. And as more things like, was the poke effective? No. Was it safe? No. Did it harm? Yes. But all of those things are starting to really, really become undeniable. We're at that stage now. It's undeniable. So now they're starting to look for empathy and sympathy for their actions. And you're going to hear this a lot. Well, we did our best.
Please don't sue me.
We didn't know better. So she's starting that campaign now. We don't forget that quick.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't forget that quick. She needs to see the inside of a court and then a prison cell. I think that's where we need to go with this particular one, with all these leaders that did this, because not knowing isn't an excuse. It was willful blindness or part of a design and a plan that was being executed, the narrative or agenda. And the same thing should be happening to them that they did to those people that opposed and pushed back. So you see the wrong end of a firearm, you get your face smashed into the snow, you get tied up in legal proceedings, you get locked away before trial. The same things that happened to the people that tried to warn these people should be happening. And in Canada, we got lots of examples of what needs to happen to the people in power, because they showed us what should happen.
We unfortunately do. We do have lots of examples.
Yeah. And I noticed that Chris was watching yesterday, Chris Carbert. Hey, Chris, if you're on again. I don't see the chat, sorry, bud. But it's good to see him out and watching our show.
Yes, and he was baptized over the weekend, so I hope you had a wonderful ceremony and time with family and friends.
Awesome. We love that guy. Okay, so and here's where the media is still really okay. We're not going to be showing this video. This is the video from I think it's New Jersey, North Carolina. There we go. Where this Ukrainian refugee, she's just sitting there reading her phone,
Yeah.
and
Awful.
she got attacked from behind, stabbed, neck, chest area. It looks like it may have got her heart. Put her in shock. If you watch the video, it's just horrible. It's horrible. Almost as horrible, if not even worse, is the news. Man accused of killing, says
It's on
CTV.
video.
So I provided them the video, the Hodge twins and many others. Like that was all over my feed yesterday with this video. It's just, I'm mad. I'm mad. And it's meant to make us mad. So let's be careful. Don't turn into the monsters when you're trying to fight the monsters. We've heard that before too. I'm so mad. But CTV is being so gentle with this guy, accused.
Well, because she's blonde and white and he is not.
I get it. I totally get it. And the media is responsible for her death. This man was the instrument of the media because it's the media that radicalized him, told him that he's oppressed by these white people. It's the media who's done this and the government who supported it and the global narrative to cause the Marxist dialectic division going on here. That's who's got blood all over their hands. I'm also very, very repulsed by all the people that just stood by or sat by and watched it happen. The Seinfeld episode ended, the series ended with this bit of a joke of the Good Samaritan Act. They ended up in jail because they went to a state where you're supposed to do something. You're not supposed to just watch and laugh. That was kind of a consciousness of our culture. And it's even worse now where someone could be attacked. And not only did nobody try and stop him, nobody tried to help her.
Yeah.
So for 2 minutes of the video, she's still moving and still
suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering.
But nobody went to her aid. So not only do we not stop, not we I would have been all over that. And you hate when I do that.
Yeah, I know. But
I will jump in the middle and help. This has happened. This is why she hates it because she doesn't like seeing my tall head in the middle of this kerfuffle. But I'm there. But nobody's there to help either. So this is how horrible it's gotten. It's so sad. So this may be one of those forks in the road where society is now taking a new turn, the pendulum swinging back to absolutely no way. So Trump came out, he went on a string and said, no way, we're not going to tolerate this. He's already starting to release the National Guard in Washington, talking about Chicago and others to crack down on this. And what's so weird is when he did this in Washington, there were protests against it. But when he did it, murders stopped.
Yeah, exactly.
Like murders on the street stopped, completely stopped. But you don't see them even highlighting that.
Of course not.
So look, we're at a turning point here. I was very upset about this one. I went to sleep sad, very sad and upset. I'm trying not to be radicalized by this because that's part of what they're trying to do as well, is radicalize the other side. But I definitely want to see actions taken, and I want to see it swift and go back to rule of law. There should have been intervention by people. You may not have been able to stop the actual thing from happening because it's so fast, but you could have stopped him, could have helped her.
Yeah.
And when a gentleman did that on the New York subway, stopped a guy from attacking another guy, they charged him.
Yeah.
They went after him. Now, jury let him go, but he still had to go through the process.
Which is the punishment.
Right. And that's also part of the system saying, don't intervene.
Yeah. Well,
just let it happen. Just exactly. So you can see this in action. Not a single person tried to stop him, and it took minutes for somebody to try and help her, even though there were people feet away from her. Sad. Congratulations to our good friend David Speaker. I talked to him yesterday. We are going to be doing an event with him October 4th in Red Deer, along with, it looks like, Chris Shoemaker and a few others. So stay tuned. We'll be posting that. Get your tickets because this is kind of how we do keep the lights on. So we'll be putting on a big event in Red Deer. So pay attention to that. We'll get that information out. Speaker is one of them. His report that he published is now being used in the Congress. So south of the border, the DNA contamination is being taken seriously. And his work, not just the field of DNA contamination, his papers that he published are being used in the US. It's on Trump's desk. But Canada still attacks this guy, won't let him work, makes things difficult for him, which is so sad because He's just a researcher scientist doing the right thing, telling the truth. So David Speaker will be probably on the show in the coming days, but he'll be here in Alberta to say hi to you all October 4th in Red Deer. So put that in your calendars. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
So we're very proud of him. Had a great chat with him yesterday. And I'm still running for office.
I just realized I didn't make my tea. We were busy chatting and reading, and I was like,
yeah, we almost missed the start of the show too. Like we're just hanging out. Yeah. Okay, so while you're doing that, I can share my dream.
Oh yes, because I haven't even heard this.
She hasn't heard this yet. I had a funky. Hey Bruce, we got a couple minutes and we'll bring you on. I had a funky dream, and normally you don't remember them, or you remember the first couple minutes after waking up, but then you forget it. But it was funky. First, we had a house, Paula. Woo-hoo! We had a house. And it was a 3-day thing. So Friday night, we had Maxime Bernier over, which isn't really all that weird because, yeah, he would certainly come visit us and hang out in the new house and spend some time with us. But I remember that part of the dream. It was a Friday. Max was over. We took some pictures, hung out with him. Saturday, crazy day. Our guest in our new house was Vladimir Putin.
That's all right. Like, seriously, there are people who would be above him to not come to the house.
Yeah, so Putin came to visit us.
Did he bring a housewarming gift?
All I remember from that portion of the dream was he was very meek. He wasn't very strong. Like he had a very weak handshake. He had his people, and I think it was related to the show. I think it was related to the show.
Oh, why was he going to do an interview in the shed?
No, I think he's coming to visit us because of the show, but not to be on the show type of thing.
Yeah, spasiba.
Oh, sure. And I'm pretty sure we were in Canada, but he came to visit us. He was very meek. It was very weird. His security was a little hands off too. Like we were able to walk up. And one part of the dream that I remember very clearly was we took some pictures with him. He was fine with that. And I said, hey, can I post this on social media? He's like, no, not yet. Later. I don't want people to know where I am, that kind of thing. And he was very, standoffish about it, like asking us, don't post this on social media yet. I'm like, okay, fine. And so that was the Saturday portion of the dream. The Sunday portion was I was one of 4 people. It was a game show. In the dream, it was a well-known game show. Okay, but there was 4 normies on the show. We were part of the show in some way, whether we were judging or something. But they kept giving us bags of chips and all these snacks and stuff like that. And the people around me were all enjoying themselves. In the dream, we knew what the game show was. It was popular. And then at the end of the dream, just before I woke up, I'm like, wow, I feel very privileged. Max on Friday, Putin on Saturday, and now this game show on Sunday. I should post this. And then I woke up. So
yeah, I think next time we need to discuss your dreams before you start sharing them online.
So no apples before bed, I think, because I did get my apples yesterday. I had an apple before bed, and maybe that sugar got to me.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's go ahead and bring Bruce on. So
yes,
warning
please.
For everybody, we are likely going to run a little bit long because this is very important. What Bruce has done here, this could be in the history books. This is the type of stuff that history is written on. So I'm really excited. It's a draft for what the Alberta Constitution should look like. And if you haven't seen his episode, his interview, please go check. It's gone popular. YouTube's loving it, all that kind of stuff. Most of this is there. Most of this is there as well. So he's been formulating this as well. So I'm really pleased that he's joining us today. Good morning, Bruce. How are you?
Bruce.
Good morning, Jason. Hello, Paula. How are you? That's quite a dream, Jason.
Good.
What's that?
Quite a dream you had.
Weird. Maxime Putin and that Putin, and then a game show. I don't know what it means. Maybe I pull it out there. Somebody will send it to me and say, "Here's what your dream means." But maybe it was all a lead up to this big moment with Bruce Pardy. Bruce, thank you so much for that interview. It went really well. The numbers are good. People are very happy with it. The feedback's good. Even the Alberta Prosperity Project has now posted your document because I did that little breaking news thing with it yesterday. They're sharing it. So all over Alberta, people are waking up to this right now. And it couldn't be better timing. I don't know if you timed your interview today with that or not, but I'm very honored to have you here with us today.
Yeah.
Great to be here, Jason, and thank you for bringing attention to it. It's just one more step along the way. Yes.
Well, I think this is a leap, like Armstrong on the moon, if you believe in that. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, because This thing is not just a good draft for Alberta to take a look at. I think all over the world, they should be looking at something like this. We started to go through it, and this is why we ran a little bit. We almost missed our start because we were both reading like, we love this. We love this. How many times did you write the word force though? Like force and enforce.
Yes, well, there's a lot of them, especially in the first part of the Constitution, but that's because it revolves around an important idea, right? Yeah. So the idea is that if you want to be free, then we need to have some idea about what that means, right? And for me, freedom means that you are free from the force of other people, including the state. Right?
I love the different definitions of force too, because it really broke it down. It was very impressive. Thank you very much for doing that, because people think physical force will be the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes.
But he even did a genetic manipulation. Like, it was fantastic. I really appreciated it.
It's like you learned something over the last couple of years and implemented it. So there you go, Bruce.
Right. Well, but that's to explain why the word force shows up so often in the first article or two. So I hope people don't get tripped up on that. But you gotta start somewhere, and the place this starts is the first rule of the Constitution and of the country is no force. You can't use force in the various ways that the document describes, as Paula was referring to have your way. And that applies to all of us as individuals, but also to the state. And then you get into the ways in which we can restrain the state, because we need a state. And the anarchists would say, no, you don't. But we need the state for the first purpose of enforcing. There's that word again. Enforcing this rule against force. So let's say one of your neighbors comes along and interferes with you and steals your property and beats you up. You need a state to come in at that moment and say, no, that's contrary to the rule, and therefore we're going to use our force to prosecute you or prevent you from doing what you're doing. That's what you need a state for. But otherwise, the trick is to be able to restrain the state from stepping over that line. And that's the trick. How do you make the state powerful enough to keep the peace, but not powerful enough to curb the freedom of the people? And if you can find that mechanism or that architecture, that's what we're after.
I think it's genius. And are you a Star Wars fan? May the Force be with you.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the first two, and by the first two, I mean the original first two, 4 and 5. After that, not so much.
So I think 77 and 79, those years those
That's
came
correct.
out.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Good years. 77, 79.
Good years. That's right.
There you go. Good years. Well, let's bring it up so that people can see it. Yes, it's we put a link in all our descriptions. They're everywhere now. This thing's getting out there. But let's go ahead and kind of take them through this a little bit here, Bruce. We won't be able to get into every single line, but we can certainly get into all of the main parts here. And as you're highlighting here, force is section 1. Force and threat of force prohibited. Bum, bum, bum. You can't do it. I'll read this out for the people that are podcasting and are listening. 1A, so right at the very beginning, no one, including the state, shall impose force or a threat of force against a person or property of any citizen without consent. I like that last part too. So you can still have boxing matches and other things, but without consent. And then you get into that one.
Right. No, that's exactly right. So, of course, consent is central to this. Consent is central to your freedom, because consent means that you have the power to control when and under what circumstances other people are allowed to touch you or otherwise interfere with you, right? So in a sense, the whole idea revolves around consent. And of course, we add on to that the next section, this prohibition on force. The first exception is, of course, if somebody is applying force to you, well, now you are able to use force against them in self-defense and so on, right? So that's the exception that proves the rule, if you like. No force without consent unless somebody attacks you, in which case, go for it.
Force met with force, and I also like what you have here, or to protect property. Already way better than what Polyev has suggested. He said you have to have safety, like concern for safety, and it didn't cover property. Your one line here covers castle doctrine, self-defense, and the only exception to the use of force is to repel force. Brilliant.
Correct. Right. Thank you.
I like it a lot, man. Like, we're going through this, we're like, I'm also trying to use I'm not as smart as you when it comes to law, but my paralegal mind. I'm trying to see how other people can try and rip this apart. You've obviously given us a lot of thought.
Yeah.
What I like about what you're doing here is it's short and sweet. The shorter, the better, because then it's harder to find those loopholes, especially when there's ors and commas. But so far, so good. One of the things I highlighted to my wife here when we were reading this one, without consent, trespass. So the trespass signs would change kind of, because you don't necessarily have to say do not trespass. You can say entering this property is your consent of use of force or something like that along those lines, because your implied consent would happen at that stage, right?
Well, consent can be express or implied. So, when in doubt, always good to post a sign to make your consent or lack thereof clear. But at the same time, your point is well taken, that it is not to be assumed that you have permission just to wander across anybody's property without obtaining their consent. So, yes, fair enough.
Fair enough. So I'm going to start printing those signs, because maybe we'll head in that direction. But this has also gotten the people who are used to online consent. I consent to use this website by clicking this box. I consent. And you're bringing back consent, because informed consent got trampled on, as you're going to talk about a little bit later in this document. So I really like how central to this is consent, which is choice. This is you choosing to do something voluntarily. And then
Correct.
force, which is what we're trying to repel and not have anymore by anybody, state or otherwise. So it's a great way to start this.
Right. And then we go on to the proposition that this rule that we've talked about, no force, needs to be enforced, which is a bit tricky, right? Because we just said, hold on, no force. But in order for that rule to be real, it needs to be enforced. So we come to a second exception, which is, well, the state can enforce it, and in order to enforce it, it can use its force, right? So we have force being used to enforce the rule against force, which is one reason why the word force shows up so much at the beginning, right? But so let's go to a basic point, which is laws are an expression of force. If you don't have force standing behind a law, then the law is not really a law. It's just a suggestion or a request. And if you don't have the state there ready to enforce those rules, then people will just ignore them. Not everybody, but a lot of people will just ignore them. So in order to make this rule real, that is, no, you can't use force, we have to allow the state to enforce that rule. On the other hand, we don't want the state to be using force for other things that right now it does use force for, but this Constitution does not authorize.
And this is also the first part where we see something being allowed to the state. So this is the first part where we're saying the state now has some exceptional powers at this stage, and first time. And we're going to get into the whole flipping the default a little bit later, but this is the first part where you're saying, okay, no force on each other, have to have consent. You can use force against someone that's using force against you. Notwithstanding, the state does have this exceptional power, and the way you've worded it is notwithstanding the prohibition against force in 1A, the Alberta executive, which would be the elected people, may use.
The executive would be that branch of the state that includes the police and the prosecutors, all of those people who are not directly elected into a legislature would be part of the executive. So that is the part that has the job of executing and enforcing the law.
Would the head of the executive still be elected, like a president?
Yes, the head of the executive would be elected, and I called that the president. Yes.
Perfect. So yes, it's still the people with the guns that you've provided the power to. May use proportional force, so that may be a discussion, proportional, or threat of force to investigate or prosecute alleged violations of 1A. to enforce orders of the Alberta judiciary. So there's your branches. You're already branching out right here.
Right. That's correct. Right. So this is just acknowledging that there needs to be an ability on the part of the police and so on. When somebody is out there pushing people around or beating them up or stealing their stuff, yeah, there's going to be police, just like you're used to, and they're gonna do their job.
100%, because humans, as much as we wish we were, we definitely need to have some sort of boundaries and some sort of type of force. So now you get into the definitions of consent, force, and threat of force. So you define them quite well. So consent means express or implied permission or agreement in words or actions. And I love, you're obviously a legal professor here, the way you've broken things down. I think it's pretty clear to me, especially the one about force. And Paula really liked this one a lot, because you even bring in technical. And this is the first constitution that I noticed that has physical and technical means without consent. So now the state can't like break into your phone. This is already covered because that's a type of force.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So this is definitely a modern, updated version of a constitution. I'm loving this, man. Do you want to cover any of the definition before we move on to the next part?
Well, only to make this point, that contained within that single prohibition, the prohibition on force, is a whole lot of things. And this is the point that Paula was referring to earlier. You think, well, we can't just have one rule. Well, but that one rule means an awful lot of things. And an awful lot of things that would occur to us as wrong are contained within the rule. So in all kinds of situations where somebody is interfering with you in some respect, whether it's the state or somebody else, it's quite possible that interference falls within the prohibition, and it's something they should not be able to do.
Well, let me read out this one paragraph for the people that are listening, because you've covered so much beautifully here. Without limiting the generality of the foregoing, force includes physical contact. We all understand that one. Whether for benefit or harmful purpose, medical treatment, genetic manipulation, physical restraint, confinement, detention, confiscation, theft, surveillance, beautiful, and use of biological agents and breach of privacy. Check. Fantastic. And again, for this digital side of things, the surveillance, like this is beautiful. I don't think a lot of people think about that, but when the government uses surveillance against us and our digital tools against us, that is a type of force.
100%. Yeah.
And by the way, if you're watching right now, CSIS and our CMP, this is what we're talking about. You guys shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. But fantastic. And you also get into counseling, soliciting, or inducing others to use force. So we currently have some of this under our current criminal code. If you convince somebody else to do it, or you counsel them to do it, that is also against the rules, against the
you can't arrange for someone else to do your dirty work for you so as to get around the rule. Yeah.
Both will be in trouble. Both parties.
Correct.
All right. And then threat of force means words or actions that promise, suggest, or imply the intimate use of force as defined above. So using intimate use, you kind of allow speech. It has to be intimate. Like if you
allow speech. So what we're getting at here is that you don't want to allow people to use the threat of force to coerce people, because that's a form of force as well. You haven't actually laid a hand upon them, but you've gone out to them and said, look, unless you do the following things, I am going to, to harm you. That's a threat. It's the threatened use of force. And that constitutes coercion. And so, yes, of course, people are going to be able to say what they want, except that not for the use of threatening force, because that's a form of coercion.
Right. Like I could say something like, I absolutely hate when this person does this, and I think it's stupid. And if they did that to me, I would kick their butt. But that wouldn't be considered.
That would be totally fine. That's fine. And you can, you can say pretty much anything that falls below this threshold of actually threatening imminent force. So
great.
Yeah, right. I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
Yeah, and because this is where Bill 63 was over the line.
Of
This is
course.
where they were going over this line because it
Yeah.
wasn't intimate anymore. It was just if somebody felt scared, that would have been enough. So this is stopping the line right there.
Correct.
Awesome. And I think I hope a lot of people are paying attention to this because it's exactly where we need to be going. I see a lot of these pictures where you've kind of demonstrated this. Some signs here: no forced vaccines. That would be a type of force for sure. Other things I'm not going to really repeat because we are early morning, but there's a lot of groups that call for violence against other groups for sure. This would be types of force, yes.
Oh, sure, yes.
Or
No,
threat of force.
you can't you can't. This is one of those things where you're crossing a line. If you go and you encourage people to use force against other people, to go and maim them or kill them or burn down their house, now we're into the territory where now actually you are threatening imminent force now.
Mhm.
Right, and this isn't about speech. This is about force and threat of force.
Well, it does
Which
have
is a
the
good
effect of limiting your speech because speech is not unlimited. And this is for me the classic threshold. You can say, you know, whatever you want, but you can't use your speech so as to coerce other people.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I meant by that is this isn't protected by speech. This isn't considered speech. This is now into the territory of threat of force or force.
That's correct. This is not even traditionally not considered to be a realm of protected speech. Yes.
And non-consensual, which is pivotal. It's right core in your constitution too.
Right. Right.
Citizens subject to no other laws. So
Yes.
is this international as well? Like this, would this kind of say, look, we're just our own thing now?
So the point here is that you have this one principle, no force. And right now, our governments prohibit all kinds of things that have nothing to do with force, that have nothing to do with interfering with other people, just because they think that they can tell us how to behave. Right.
Mhm.
So, for example, just to take one random example, we have laws saying you cannot ride a bicycle without a helmet. Right. Well, that's not imposing force upon anybody. That's your decision on your bicycle, on your head, so to speak. And this provision simply says citizens will not be subject to other kinds of prohibitions governing their conduct unless the Constitution says so. So the one and main principle is you can't use force against other people, and otherwise there will be no laws that apply to you. The state cannot come around and say, oh, you know what, we're going to create new regulations about X, so you have to do those things as well. No, Constitution says can't do that.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Now, what about international laws that are imposed upon us from other bodies? Because those are different and they're not part of our constitution.
Well,
So
yeah.
what would happen?
Those international laws, to the extent that they can be enforced in a domestic court, those laws that are inconsistent with the Constitution would not apply because the Constitution is the supreme law, and anything in conflict with that would be unconstitutional.
Fantastic. So the Constitution is the supreme document, the very top document.
Yes.
And that includes any global attempts to try and
it especially includes any global document because you don't want other people in other countries dictating to you what your law is and what you're allowed to do.
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying that. Flipping the default. So the clip I sent out about you, and it's basically the highlight of our interview, was exactly this.
Right.
The government, the all-powerful government no longer exists. It's a non-powerful government except when we give you some powers. And as we've seen here so far, the first power you gave was to enforce the prohibition on force.
Right.
That's the only power so far.
That is the only power so far. And so there will be, let's just describe this flipping the default idea as we did in that clip, Jason. So the architecture of constitutions that presently exist in Canada and elsewhere is this. The default is that the state is all powerful. It can do anything. And then what we try to do is limit that power by creating rights, charter rights, for example.
Mm-hmm. Protected rights, yeah.
Protected rights. But that's bad architecture, because you're always trying to hold the state back from occupying this unlimited space of power. So flipping the default means this: instead of making the state all powerful and then trying to limit it, you make the state powerless except for certain powers that are specifically set out. So if the powers are not expressly listed in the Constitution, they are not things that the state is able to do. And if you do that, if you flip the default and you create this architecture, then actually you don't need constitutional rights to hold the state back, because those are creating lines where the state can't go in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different kind of architecture. So in the Constitution, the state will be expressly given the power to do basically three different kinds of things. The first one we've talked about already, which is enforce this rule against force. The second one is to resolve disputes about that rule, as in we'll have some courts, because courts are a form of force as well.
Mm-hmm.
And third, you want the state there to protect the country against external enemies, borders, military, immigration,
external force,
visitors, that kind of thing, right? So the rule, courts, and protection against the outside.
You can almost argue that 1 and 3 are the same, just one's internal, one's external.
Sure.
A force.
Yep. Yeah.
It's all about force. And just to simplify this for some people, you would change the argument from "you do not have the right to."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it would change it to that from "I have the right to." Because right now people think I have the right to do something, but it would be "you don't have the right to," because I have all rights except for the ones that are explicitly given to the government.
So the proper. So let's say you had a government that came along and said, "Well, we're going to make rules about this regardless, because we think it's necessary." The proper constitutional response is, "Well, you don't have the power to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Your powers are expressly listed in the Constitution, and those powers are not there. So that's the end of the game. But I don't need to show you my right. Your powers are limited, and therefore you've got to stop what you're doing."
There we go. I love that. This might even put a damper on special interest groups and lobbyist groups, because they kind of manipulate their way. It's only what is provided to the government and their powers that they can address.
And note, one of the knock-on effects of this is that, just as you're alluding to there, Jason, there's no point in special interest groups, in lobbyists, in corporate interests, in industrial interests to lobby the government, because the government has its hands tied. They can't do anything. So there's no point in trying to influence them, because they're relatively powerless.
I love this. And this is also something we were talking about in the interview: general welfare, the common good. So this one here, I'm going to read out for the podcast people. No part of the state, including the legislature, executive, and judiciary, there's your three branches, alone or in combination, has power or jurisdiction except as expressly provided in this Constitution. No part of the state has power or jurisdiction to provide for the common good, general welfare, public necessity, or emergency. Boom, 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 boom. This was a big takeaway from the whole COVID stuff, because that's where they kept saying it's for grandma, it's for the neighbor, it's for everybody else, it's the common good, rat on your neighbors, it's for the common good and general welfare. They don't have that power, you're saying here.
That is correct. That is correct, because as you say, that kind of power has been the most common rationalization for the state to overstep its place. And so if they're not able to claim to be acting in the general welfare or in the situation of emergency, then they don't have a rationale for going further than they're supposed to do.
Perfect. I can envision a bunch of socialists, communists, and Marxists pulling out their blue hair to this, because this is exactly the root of what they're trying to do.
Yes.
Yes. There's a visual for everybody there. The blue hair getting pulled out. So there's really no need for a Bill of Rights or charter at this point. because we're not trying to protect ourselves. It's the government that has, or the state that has been provided certain powers.
That's correct. And in fact, if you did include such a thing, you might it would contradict the architecture that you're establishing. It would be inconsistent with what you're setting up. There'd be no rationale for it. The creation of it would potentially create the impression that in order to establish your liberty, you have to find a right to point to, and that's not the point at all. It's supposed to operate exactly the other way. You are free from the force of other people, including the state. That means the state cannot impose laws governing your conduct, period. And the one exception is they can prevent you from using force. And that's the end of the story.
Now, there could be a bill of powers that lists the government's powers, or the Canadian Charter of Powers and Duties, the things that we're expecting from the government, but there wouldn't be one that's needed from us anymore, for us anymore.
That's right. And part of this Constitution would be to expressly describe the specific powers that the state has to undertake those functions that we refer to.
It'd be hilarious to see protests from the government. We want more power. We want more power. Good luck with that.
Oh, they definitely would. No question about it.
Yeah, for sure. And there would be certainly a process, because you have an amendment process here. There's certainly a process to go ahead and add new things as we move along here as necessary, right?
Well, perhaps, but just to jump ahead to that, the amendment process is relatively difficult, because you don't want these things to be changed easily. You don't want to make it impossible, but you don't want it to be changed easily. And the formulation that I've suggested, fairly simple one, but onerous, which is we're going to have two legislative houses, and each of those houses would have to pass amendments by two-thirds majority, plus a referendum of the people, which also needs to pass by a two-thirds majority. So it's possible, but it's not going to be easy.
Perfect. I like that. I like that a lot. And I'm going to start getting through this a little bit quicker, but the term limits amateur public servants. So this is what we're kind of talking about here, because these aren't going to be professional politicians anymore. These are amateur public servants.
Right. So what we've done so far is we've disempowered the state, but at the same time, we also want to disempower the people who run the state, because right now we are burdened by what I like to call a professional political class. The longtime politicians, entrenched bureaucrats, tenured judges. This is what people refer to as sometimes as the deep state, the entrenched interests that you can't move, who have seized power effectively and over time have enlarged the power of their own institutions for their own reasons, because they believe in that. So what we've done here is we've set strict term limits, and the bottom line is this: nobody can serve the state in any capacity as an elected representative, as a bureaucrat, as a judge, as an employee, or as the case may be, for longer than 6 years over your lifetime in combination. So let's say you get elected to a legislature and you serve 6 years. Okay, well, your time is up, and now you cannot run again. You cannot be a judge. You cannot be an employee. You cannot even be a consultant. You cannot be a bureaucrat. Everybody has 6 years. And the whole idea is this: we want people to come in and serve and get out, so that there are no vested interests inside the state. Nobody is powerful because you're not there for very long. There are no public service careers as a judge, as a politician, as a technocrat, even as an employee. Mm-hmm. And so you've eliminated that problem sort of right off the bat.
This is going to inherently create a more efficient government, because they're going to have to define roles in such a way, keep them super small so that they can't be passed on, because the turnover is going to be high. And this is going to force the government to be smaller and more efficient. And yes, you even have appointed officers and stuff like that, and employees. So this is the whole state.
This is the whole state. And yes, there'll be a lot of turnover, and that's really the idea. So let's put it this way: people may react to this and say, "But you want people with expertise. You want very competent people, very well trained and effective people." Well, my response to that is actually those people, the well trained, effective, competent achievers, you want in the private sector, not in the government, right? You want people to visit. You want people to visit the government and serve it for a while for the purpose of public service, but you do not want people there to enrich themselves and create a career.
Correct.
That's right.
And an example of that, just to give people an idea, is the Olympics versus professional sports. The Olympics is supposed to be just for the amateur non-professionals, the best of the best.
Right.
And that's kind of showing you, look, you can actually have people that excel and do fantastic in the amateur side of things. But if you want to be the best paid basketball player, join the professional league. They've messed around with that a little bit, but the spirit of the Olympics is always amateur. And I do like how you carved out here, though, the armed forces and police force, 15 years.
Yes, those are the two areas where you might want people to be able to stick around a little more for their expertise. You don't want it to be open-ended, but 3 or 6 years at a shot might be just a bit too short.
Yeah, and I can see why, because some of these are for the force, the state's use of force, whether it's internal or external, and you definitely want to have people that are well trained on that, and you
want people to be able to fly your fighter jets, and that takes time, right? So.
For sure. But there's also this inherent, not necessarily assembly line, but as you're making your way through, everybody will eventually become a senior and then leave. And you don't become top heavy, especially on the police force, where your career is to become the commissioner or something like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. So there's a career for you there. 15 years. You might even get a pension out of that. We don't talk about that in here, but this is where we don't get top heavy and we don't get career minded individuals in the power position.
You don't have people in there who have more interest in the success of their institution than in the success of the country.
Right.
Hope. And one more thing for people who've already gone through this: you don't carve out a protected class at all.
Correct.
That's because we're all protected class. There is no need to carve out one.
Right.
Yeah. So if somebody's going, hey, what about, you can't discriminate against. There is no discrimination. Full stop.
It is. So discrimination is a funny thing in this sense. Discrimination is a thing that you do not want the state to be able to do. So there's a section in there later on that says that in the law and in the courts, the law and the courts and the state cannot distinguish between people. Everybody's entitled to equal protection of the law. That's that side. In people's private lives and in their business lives, in their own private sphere, anybody can do anything that's not force. So if you want to choose a certain kind of person to associate with or to work with in your business, that is your business and is not the business of the state. So the private people can discriminate in any way they want, as long as they're not using force.
Got it. And I think that's fair. And when I talked about pension for the military side of things, the government doesn't provide pension. Private market can. So after you do 15 years or something, you can buy a private pension. But here you list off payment, basically how you paid, remunerated.
Yes.
National medium wage. There's no pensions, bonuses, or any other kind of remuneration for their service. You're just paid a medium wage, and then you're done. But you can always buy private pension and investment and that kind of stuff.
Of course. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to ensure, in addition to these very strict term limits, we're trying to ensure that public service is not a way to enrich yourself. That's not the reason people will go and do it. If people want to come and serve the state for the purpose of public service, then great, and come in and do that. We'll pay you a national median wage. That is the wage right in the middle. So this is not a way to get rich. Now, you'll have enough money because you'll get a median wage.
Mhm.
But in self-enrichment, unlike today, where somehow people who serve the state, especially at the top of the heap, end up being very wealthy, that doesn't make any sense. So we're going to ensure that that's not the reason that people will decide to do this kind of thing.
Brilliant. So we've kind of made it through about halfway. Any chance we can get you back next week for
Sure,
finish
sure,
this
yeah,
up?
but you'll be
That'd
delighted.
be great.
Yeah, because inside there we still have parental responsibilities. We're going to make sure that there's children are fed and are well.
Yes.
But this is a fantastic start. I see consent, force, no power to the state, and we're building from there. That was
Right.
basically your architecture here.
Yes, right, exactly so. Thank you so much for having me on to talk about it.
No, thank you,
It's
Bruce.
our pleasure and honor because,
Yeah.
quite frankly, your statue is going to look fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for
at
the
the-
effort, because
No, no.
Canadians need this for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
we all need this. We need a different way to go about it, because the model that we have now clearly doesn't work. It certainly doesn't work now. So we need to think about this a little bit differently. That's my take.
Well, check your
Yeah.
calendar, October 4th, Red Deer. If there's a way to get you out here, I think this would be a fantastic way to spend some time with Albertans. But not to put you on the spot, we'll talk
Yeah.
after. But we've already booked a venue, October 4th in Red Deer. It'd be great if we can get you to come out and talk to us.
We'll
Bruce,
talk.
we'll talk for sure. I won't use force. It'll be on consent. But we'll definitely have a conversation. Bruce, thank you so much. This is good, hard work, well thought out. I'm sure there's still room for discussion as people start to digest this. Yeah, because this would have to be adopted on consent.
Right.
And that's exactly kind of the point. That's kind of the point.
Right. Precisely so.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you for
Thanks so
sharing
much.
this. And we'll book you for next week and have you back for the second
Yeah.
half. Appreciate that.
Thanks again. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
I'm excited. You can hear the legal excitement coming out
Yeah.
of me there, right?
Well thought out, the fact that the effort, the energy was put into that, like it's just for a draft, and he's not even saying this is the way it should be. Like,
No, it
this
is. It's in the title.
This is a
It's in the title. Should.
this is a structure that we can work off, just so that, especially with Alberta facing what we're facing, the opportunity to have control our own destiny, and I think don't copy what we already exist, because it's not working. So he's completely correct with that. So I loved it.
Yeah, and the APP has reposted it, so they're going to be kicking it around. It would be no real big surprise to them, because I know that Pardy and Wilson and Rath and other lawyers have been talking about stuff like this. So now to kind of see a version come out and be shared. And folks, bring your questions for next week as well.
Yep.
Because if there's something you don't understand, you did a good job, I think, on explaining a lot of things in there. But the second half, we'll cover it next week.
And I love also as well the legal structure that he presented it in as well, because that's what the format would need to take. So yeah, got that done already. Fantastic, enjoyed it. And yes, Lucy Lou Drinkwater. I love Bruce Pardy. Thank you for having him on. I think his ideas are important. Correct.
So important.
Yeah.
Every word matters. Well, folks, there you go. There's the first half of the Bruce Pardy Alberta Constitution, new draft. This thing should be spread all over the world. A lot of governments should be thinking about this. Maybe Nepal. It looks like you guys are falling apart. Maybe you should start with something like this. But folks, have yourself a wonderful day. Really glad that you're here. It's an honor to share this kind of thing with you and to have you here.
Yep. Thank you very much for being all in the chats and chatting with us and listening and giving us feedback. Really appreciate it.
And we love you all very much, and God bless.